Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Matthew Answers the Internet, the show where I, with an incredible amount of your help, answer all those burning board game questions. The first question I have is something I don't actually often run into or think about that much, because it's how do you deal with cheaters? But of course, dealing with cheaters is easy. You simply burn down their house. But with board game cheaters, I don't feel like I run into that many people cheating in board games. And the whole idea of, they're not cheating on purpose is, I don't think cheating at all. I think cheating by its very nature denotes intent. There has to be an intent to cheat for it to be cheating. Otherwise, it's just playing the game wrong, which is something that we've covered in a Matthew Answers the Internet in the past. But you're sitting there and someone earns 3 gold and you see them take 4 gold and you think to yourself, they just took 4 gold. That's peculiar. And then they earn 2 wood and you see them taking 3 wood. If I'm positive someone is cheating, like really sure that they're cheating, and maybe this is a luxury that I have that others might not feel comfortable doing, but I'm gonna just call you out. I'm gonna stand up and say, hey, Alan, you're cheating again. And if that's the case, then that's the case. For me, that is something I don't actually think I have a problem with. The issue is not what to do when someone is cheating. It's that moment when you think, are they cheating or aren't they? Because if you call someone out on something and they haven't done it, then that's a whole awkward situation between you and Alan. And that's not something that we want. Not Alan. I am just calling them out. I'm going to do it privately to start off with, probably, if I'm being honest. And if it happens again, I'm doing it publicly at the game table. And after that, Alan isn't invited to play games with me anymore. That's it. That's all there is to it. No game is that important. Who cares? It's not like the World League of Poker. There's no money on the line. It's just meant to be a bit of fun in a make-believe world, pushing cardboard around a table. It's just not that important. Play to win, but don't cheat. The issue is always going to be having the strength of your conviction and being positive that is actually happening. Let me know below what you do or have done in those situations. This next question legitimately raised my heart rate, and it's, I'm new to the hobby. Should I just buy the games in the top 100 on Board Game Geek? No. Good Lord, no. I use Board Game Geek, and I kid you not, I use it every day. I couldn't do my job without Board Game Geek. I love it. It's the home tab on my computer. When I open up my computer, Chrome comes up. Board Game Geek is the home tab, because that's normally where I'm going. But it is a deep entrenched part of the hobby, and as such, Board Game Geek has a couple quirks to it, let's call them. And the first and the main one that makes this an issue is Board Game Geek leans heavy. The games that are popular on Board Game Geek most often lean heavy. They are heavier, more complicated games. And when you just get into the hobby, they're not the games that I would recommend you play. Imagine going up to some seasoned hikers, mountaineers. They got the equipment, they go out, they do the thing, they've got massive calves. It's like asking them to rank different walking paths and hikes. Their ability is going to so supersede my ability that what they find easy on a hiking trail, I might find rather challenging. Not impossible, and maybe I'd enjoy the hike, but they're gonna be really challenging because they are expert hikers. Now, the people on Board Game Geek, I would argue, the people rating, reviewing, doing all this stuff, taking photographs, people who are contributing to Board Game Geek are the seasoned hikers. And what they find very easy, lightened, no problem, are just way heavier games than they realise that they are. And not the games that I would say to someone just getting into the hobby, this is what you should play. Gloomhaven, when you just get into the hobby, maybe that will work once in a blue moon, but no. And there's going to be people in the comments, I appreciate this. Oh, Gloomhaven was my first game, it got me in. And that, I really believe you'll find is the exception and not the rule. Also, I find on Board Game Geek, there's a psychological quirk, again, where people will rank lighter weight games, easier games, lower than heavier games. And by that I mean, if the game is very easy to play, learn, it's just a very quick and easy game, regardless of the fun factor of the game, people will rank it lower. But I want people to rank games. For me, and for this person who wants to buy games just to get into the hobby, what they're looking for is, what are the fun games? What's the most fun? And I often think those light games are the games that are going to really get someone who is just nuzzling into the hobby thinking, oh, this is fun. That's what's going to like latch them on like a parasite and grab them and keep them in and suck them into our world, our board game world. That answer isn't as nice as the mountaineer metaphor, I appreciate, but you know what I mean. I don't think we are there yet in the hobby where there is a really fantastic system to introduce people to board games, other than community. And unfortunately for a lot of people, me included, the community of the board gaming to physically play games is difficult. I don't have a local game group, and that type of thing. But I think when someone is asking for a game recommendation, I think it would all benefit from really thinking about what they would like rather than telling them what you like. That's a big difference. But the last thing anyone should do when getting into the hobby is buying the top 100 games from Board Game Geek. There's a lot of great games in there. I just think that's a very expensive way to get into the hobby. But what made me think of this question as well is that I was asked this next question, the last question for the episode, which is, what are your top 10 from the top 100? So let's go for it. In no particular order other than the order that they're in the top 100. The first one is Dominion. Dominion Intrigue is actually the entry that's in the Board Game Geek top 100. I don't care what people say. I love it. I mean, lots of people like it. It's number 94 on the top 100, but it gets a bad rap. But I actually really like that. I like the theme. It's fine. I like it. Dominion is a fantastic, one of the absolute OG deck building games. Probably this is the OG deck building game, right? But the only problem with Dominion is that it is a dangerous pit to fall in, because I tell you, you'll want more sets. You really do want more sets. It's a collectible card game, in my opinion. Wasn't there just a new expansion announced or released? Bloody heck. So this isn't in order of which ones I like the most. This is in Board Game Geek, because the next one is Keyflower. Keyflower is just amazing. I love that game. Keyflower is a game where you are bidding on tiles to put them into your little town that you're building, and then you want to have a network of things that produce goods. You want to have a network of ways to deliver those goods. You want to use people's other buildings in their towns, but you're bidding on them with workers, and you get the workers that people bid on them. If you bid too much and someone else wins it, they also get they get more power to bid next time. It's brilliant. Next one is the incomparably fantastic Five Tribes. Classic Days of Wonder game at this point, I would say, where it's Mancala, the board game, where you've got massive bunches of decisions, you're moving people around a board, but there's a grid of tiles, you pick up everyone on a tile, you drop one person off at every tile, and then when you get to a landing position, of which you have many options, you will get to do the action of the tile and the action of the colour of the meeple that you landed there with, giving you just infinite amounts of options. I'm sure it's not infinite, I'm sure there's a number. You can do set collection, you can do bunches of ways to get points by putting down camels and stuff, trying to get points for the tiles. And it looks gorgeous, and there's special powers in there as well. If you've never played Five Tribes, play it. Azul, one of the modern evergreen games. I think people will be playing Azul for many, many years to come. It's a game where you are drafting these tokens from the center, these nice little Bakelite pieces, and putting them onto your board. And once you fill up your little lanes, you then get to put the tokens from your lanes onto your board for points, and you score for adjacencies. And there's a few bonuses of rows and columns and having all of one color on your little grid. But the devious nature of it is when you're drafting and putting them onto your board, there's some limitations there that mean that you can really get screwed and you can really screw other people, and that's the fun bit. Then there's Crokinole, one of the games that was there, then went away for a very long time, and now It's back again. I think it's always been around. There's going to be people who say, oh, I always play Crokinole. The Canadian game of flicking discs and scoring big points. It's a game where you're flicking your disc and you're trying to get it into the center, or at least as close to the center as possible. If it goes into the center, that's the most points. But once your opponent has a disc on the board, you have to hit their disc before anything else, which makes the actual tactical decisions of moving the things, these little pegs on the board as well, which makes things a little bit more difficult. It's so good. It's so good. Next is Power Grid. I think it's just down there. Power Grid is a great game, isn't it? It's got the best color palette of any game I think out there. There's a very specific look to the Power Grid board, but it's a game of taking all these resources, a lot of auctions. You're trying to make these power grids. You're trying to set things up, make sure you've got the right resources. It's a perennial kind of classic, never gonna go away game. There's also lots of different expansion mats for Power Grid. It's a heavier game than something like Ticket to Ride, for instance. And there certainly is a lot of mathematics involved with it, but I, for one, don't think that gets away in just the sheer joy and fun that Power Grid can provide. The Crew Mission Deep Sea is my favorite game. It's also number 46 on Board Game Geek at the time of doing this. It's the best game ever made, so enough of that. It's the trick-taking game where each time you have a mission Deep Sea is just better than Quest for Planet 9 in every single way. And before Mission Deep Sea came out, Quest for Planet 9 was my favorite game. So it's my favorite game, and then this one came out, which puts it up here, which just puts it leagues, because it's the sea, leagues above. It's just the game I always want to play. It's wonderful. And if you learn how to play The Crew, you also technically kind of learn how to play pretty much almost every other trick-taking game out there. It's the best trick-taking card game as well to get people into it, because it's cooperative and someone doesn't have to go, well, I'm losing. It's a great experience to get people into the hobby, especially into card games like that. Viticulture up next, which was recently expanded by Viticulture World, which again added a cooperative part to the game. And now I think I might like the cooperative version more than the regular version. Is that true? Viticulture is a game of making wine, selling wine, and it's just the most wonderful worker placement game I can think of. And one of the main reasons I like Viticulture so much is because of the way the game makes me feel. It takes me to a very lovely place thematically, and I love it. Viticulture is wonderful. Seven Wonders Duel, one of the best head-to-head card games of just really making sure that your opponent doesn't do something terrible to you. It's just incredible. There's many two-player card games that I love, but in my top 5, Seven Wonders Duel has to be in there. It's a great game. You're trying to build out resources, build buildings, build your wonder to do special powers, to get extra turns, to score points. You've got different ways to win. You want to win on the military track. You want to win on the scientific track. You're going to get special abilities, do different things. Oh, so many options and possibilities, and so many times they're going to go terribly wrong for you and your opponent, and that's where the fun lies. Love Seven Wonders Duel. And the one that is the highest on Board Game Geek that I think is fantastic, and also I'd recommend to people to play, is the Castle of Burgundy, which has recently got a massive new edition that's coming out. But I tell you, the Castle of Burgundy is one of the best games ever made. I think it's just incredible. I just love it. It's combo-tastic. It's infinitely replayable. It's perfectly balanced. It's probably just the closest thing I can think of to a masterpiece in Euro board games. It just has to be. So those are my top 10 from the top 100. What are yours? What games are you like? Matthew, what the hell are you thinking? Why didn't you put this game in? I love this one. What are yours? Let me know below. But until next time, I hope you're all having a wonderful festive holiday season. If you are indeed enjoying things along that nature, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye.